What's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna start working on my 23 YZ250F. We're gonna do a top end rebuild on this guy. We're gonna check the shims, valve clearance, all that hoo-ha, replace timing chain, and much needed maintenance. I have 47 hours on it, not too hard, not a rever of any sort. So we're gonna get into this engine and we're gonna do it together. Let's get Before we get into it, I just wanted to point out the things that I ordered before I started this job. It's kind of a worst case scenario for the top end, but I just want to make sure it's bulletproof. I got piston rebuild kit, comes with the piston, rings, head gaskets, cylinder gasket, all the hoo-ha. We'll get into that. Chintzy new timing chain, spark plug. This is a timing chain tensioner kit. I got the two timing chain guides. They tend to wear out and I'm just in there. I'm gonna replace them all. I got some valve springs, intake and exhaust. I hear they get weak and you're gonna need a feeler gauge. I got this one from Mac. And I got a flywheel puller. You're gonna need this to replace the timing chain. And sorry, I got my shim kit. It's got 3 of every shim that we should need. And I got let me open this up. It's a valve spring compressor tool. Bought this on Amazon, just a cheapie to get me through the job. But yeah, these are all the things you're gonna need to do this, plus assembly lube. And yeah, I just want to point it out. This is what I'm doing. You can do just the piston rebuild kit, but I'm at 47 hours, so I just want to make sure everything's safe and sound for the next time I ride it. At the moment, we're gonna start by taking off the seat, the side shrouds. I'm leaving the radiators on, and we're gonna drain the coolant. Don't forget to drain the oil also, but we pull off the airbox and gonna take off the throttle body, which I had a hard time right now trying to take off the fuel line. And then after that, at this point, we took the side plate off and working on pulling all the exhaust off. So we got the access to the valve cover now. I had to remove the throttle body. The fuel tank I just spun out. I got the fuel line still hooked up there. Took the whole exhaust off. Leaving the radiators on as long as I can. Obviously air box is off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get it ready so I can take the valve cover off. We're gonna measure our cam shims before full disassemble just to see where we're at. And then we'll start tearing away. Let's go. Get the valve cover off. I didn't video that, it's just basic. The process here is gonna be to measure the shims. You want to do this before you take it all apart so you have an idea if you need to shim it before you assemble it. It just saves you a lot of time. So I recommend doing that. Using a feeler gauge. I had 2 of the lifters a little loose, or not loose, tight. And I decided to shim 1 exhaust and 1 intake, as you see on the specs coming up right here. So that left top intake shim is at 13. I ended up changing that because it's at the minimal spec. At the time right now, I'm taking off the cam chain tensioner and the chain guides. I know I keep calling it the tensioner, but it's the chain guides, the plastic pieces. So we're ripping off the head now, and be cautious that the washers don't fall down into the valve train. Each head bolt has a washer, and make sure that they come out too. Also, don't dump the head upside down because then your valve buckets will fall out and you'll lose your shims. Not by experience, but this step here, I took off the flywheel, the magneto cover, and the cylinder. Piston and everything looked good. So it's a good time to jump in here. Note to self, before you're taking off the magneto cover, make sure you drain the oil, because I leaked all this oil over here. It just makes a mess, but duh, stupid on my part. Anyway, I got that off. Got the flywheel off. Needed a special puller for that. I got the timing chain and tensioners all off, the cylinder, the head. Everything's going good so far. Here's my cams and cam holders, the old timing chain, old tensioners. Up here I have the cylinder. Gonna clean this and hone it out real quick. It looks really good. This bike only had 47 hours. The valves, a little bit of carbon, we'll clean that up, clean everything up. The cam buckets, the lifters, whatever you want to call them right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna get into that. I might try to shim these. They're a little, 2 of them are, this one and this one are on the tight side, but we'll see when I get the rest together. We're gonna put the new piston in. I got the piston kit right there and the timing chain tensioner. I got a new one and the guides. So here's the piston, a little bit of carbon, but no big deal. I think that's just normal. So, all right, we'll keep going. Here's that piston kit from Yamaha. Let's see what's in here. Got a couple of gaskets here. The base gasket, head gasket. Wrist pin. Valve cover gasket. You got some piston rings. What is that? We'll open these up. What do we got here? Ooh, some exhaust gaskets. That's nice. I'm not ready for that. We'll put that there. What's this one? Another one. I like that. I was worried about those. We're going to be replacing those shortly after I get everything else together. We got this. Our piston. We'll keep that out right now. What's this one? Okay, so we got the tensioner gasket and a bunch of rando O-rings. C-clips. Exhaust gaskets. Nice. The kit came with a lot more than I thought, but all right, we'll put that aside. We don't need that yet. We're gonna assemble the piston, put the rings in. We're on, and the dot here is gonna go to the exhaust side. You can see it right there. Yeah, so, I mean, I always do this, a comparison to the unit that came out. Not really necessary if you checked it, but it's the right, it's the right bore. I don't have a 450 piston. Obviously, you know it'd be much larger, but we're gonna pre-assemble the piston, install that to get it out of the way. And there's definitely a procedure where the rings go. I'm gonna look that up now. See the holes in there? Those are oil holes. That's the oil ring that's gonna go in that slot. But yeah, the compression ring has a marking that has to face up. Obviously, you know the C-clips gotta go like 180 from that little divot right there, so they can't pop out. We'll put one of those in and slide the wrist pin in with some assembly lube, and let's go. This step at the moment is me trying to put on the compression ring and the oil rings. There's 2 smaller rings and a wave ring for the oil ring. I had a little trouble putting those on. They're very like thin and they kept popping out. You're supposed to stagger them by like a quarter off each so they don't all line up also. Look at your manual, they have spots that you should do it at. Now I put in the timing chain and we're gonna put the cylinder on, and that's crucial. Take your time with that. Right here I am cleaning the valve area. I left the head gasket on and I'm just using like a copper wire brush trying to get all the carbon off the valves before I pull them out, and like that whole cavity, just so it's nice and clean. Torquing the flywheel on, putting the flywheel magneto cover back on. That way it's all ready to go on the bottom end. This is the valve compressing tool, valve spring compressor. Removing the valves, and I am cleaning the inside of the valve and the exhaust ports with that brush. This is the end result. It looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna put my shims in with the valve buckets in, and gonna install the head onto this piston. I got the cam chain tensioner guides on, and here's the head going on. When I clean the base of the top of the head and the cylinder, I just use some brake clean on a rag, a lint-free rag, obviously, and it took off a lot of the black. I just scuffed it with a razor blade on its flat edge to get the little divots out if there was any. Now I'm installing the camshafts. Start with the most forward one, which would be the intake. Get the dots lined up on the chain and the gear, and got the cams in, timing chain on. Had a little difficulty. Definitely install this cam first and that one second. I got the timing marks all set. Can you see that? Where is it? The triangle is pointing up, and it's at top dead center. Put some oil in where the cam lobes are. Fill the buckets up like the manual says. I'll put a spark plug in a second. The tensioner is on and in, and I cranked it round and round a couple times to get the oil through it. Counterclockwise, crank the engine by hand. Right there with that nut. Couple things I didn't mention during the installation of the cylinder was coat the cylinder with a little bit of engine oil, and also like anything that's going to go up and down, like the valves, like the valve guides and stuff like that. Installing the exhaust and the airbox after the valve cover was put on, pretty much wrapping this up, putting engine oil in and coolant, and hooking up my battery. New air filter right here. I drained the rest of the engine oil I didn't drain out and put new oil in it. And this is about how long it took to crank. It wasn't too bad. I didn't keep cranking it. I put the choke on, and that seemed to be the ticket. But during this process, just my recommendation is to do a couple heat cycles. So let the bike run until it gets warm, shut it off, and then cool fully down, and then do it again. I even took it for a ride around the block, like just lugging it, and the rest is the rest. Do that a couple times before you ride it, I would say. That's what I'm gonna do, just so that the rings lap into the cylinder that I honed. I didn't show that I honed it, but I also honed the cylinder real quick with a ball style hone. And yeah, the bike's running mint. We're gonna ride it tomorrow and we'll see. So yeah, like and subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching. Just checking out, making sure there's no oil leaks and all that kind of stuff. Okay, thank you.